We hope you listened to the last episode of Millstone River Live, where we talked about some of the great reasons you might consider retiring young. Now, let's talk about how to pay for it.
Welcome to another episode of Millstone River Live, a podcast brought to you by Millstone River Wealth Management.
Hello, Adam.
Hi, Matt.
Welcome to our second part of a two-part series on retiring young.
We're back.
It's exciting. It's almost like it was just seconds ago that we recorded the last one. So today we're switching gears just a bit, but we're staying with the theme of retiring at a young age. And maybe you can share with our listeners about financial planning considerations, specifically to ensure a sustainable, long-term, and happy retirement if you did choose to kind of take it at a younger age. So maybe you can share some of those factors.
I'd be happy to. I'll do my best. I think a lot of the factors center around something that's pretty intuitive, which is if you're retiring at a age that is earlier than traditional, but we still hope that you have the same longevity expectations that you would if you retired at a later age or something comparable. It means that you're going to be, and if you could see me, I'm doing air quotes, retired, or as Matt said in the last episode, independent for a longer period of time. And that longer period of time of potentially not earning, a salary or compensation from your business, et cetera, does affect things. So a lot of it has to do with now this longer duration of when you'll be retired. And, we'll go through, some normal financial planning considerations that are affected by this. And I'll start with, savings rate. Saving for any financial goal, but particularly retirement is always important. But I don't think it's surprising that if your objective is to retire earlier, well, then your savings rate has to go up. You have to be putting away more money, ideally sooner, in order to be prepared for retirement. How your investments are allocated matters. It may be counterintuitive, but generally you may have to have a little bit more sort of investments that are focused on growth or volatile, because your return on investments is going to have to be higher because there's a longer period of time in which you're going to be drawing on these investments. But also you're going to be taking distributions potentially earlier than when you would. So you have to make sure that your investments are aligned to generate enough income for you when you're, when you've started retirement, but also many decades into the future. Inflation has a bigger effect, or is maybe a risk that you have to pay closer attention to, because now there is additional years of the cost of living, things that you're consuming is going to go up and up and up. And if it's 40 years into the future, whatever your monthly income target is going to be dramatically different when you're on the sort of later stages of life. Healthcare is a big consideration, mainly because in the U.S., most of us, when we get to the age of 65, rely upon Medicare in order to provide the medical services that we need. Traditionally, in advance of that, we get our health insurance from our employer. Well, if we're retiring at an earlier age, that provides a gap. At the moment, you can go on exchanges to purchase health insurance when you're in advance of 65, but that is costly, and that's something that has to be prepared for. Debt obligations. Not everyone takes this approach, but many have a goal of sometimes being debt-free when they're ready to retire. The mortgage paid off, student loans perhaps have been addressed. That all becomes a little bit more challenging if you are pushing up that date for when you have that goal. Emergency fund. What we like to categorize that as is, a certain amount that you have in cash so that when the unexpected happens, you're prepared, and there isn't a need to feel stress or panic in order to address that. Traditionally, though, we would suggest when you get to retirement that the amount that you keep in your emergency fund is actually, generally has to be larger because you don't have a salary or income to rely upon. We sometimes will, suggest a target of at least 12 months. If you're retiring earlier, that might be something where you want an even larger amount that's put aside, prepared for, the unexpected. Let me pause there for a moment, Matt, just to see if there was anything you wanted to add in terms of the, investment, saving, sort of emergency funds that we brought up.
No, I think those things are important. When it comes to things like healthcare, for example, you mentioned Medicare, and sometimes people overlook the fact that with a good savings, let's say, or a good investment portfolio that you've planned for and executed, you might be able to bridge that period of time between when you have health insurance through an employer or a business and Medicare. And that could be done with, money from savings and investments. And so that, those factors that you've just shared are important, not just for having the money in case something goes awry, but also for paying for the things that you're going to need, even if it's a relatively short period of time until you're eligible for a benefit like Medicare.
Absolutely. We do it all the time. It's just something that you have to be, prepared for and plan for. Another big factor is the timing of when certain retirement benefits are available to you. Social Securities, pensions, they all can have their own eligibility criteria. And perhaps you may not be able to draw on them at the same time that you're, moving towards, independence that we talked about in the first episode. So you need to have resources to fill in that gap. And one, potential benefit is tax considerations. So before you've started drawing on your IRA, retirement accounts at 59 and a half, Social Securities, pensions, you sometimes, and you're no longer working, sometimes clients will find that for a certain number of years, they actually are in a pretty low tax bracket because the majority of the cash flow that they're generating is coming from after tax or already tax savings and investments. So that is a potential positive feature that we can work to your advantage to do a variety of things to prepare yourself for the future if Roth conversions are appropriate at that time, for example. Longevity risk. It's not that your longevity necessarily changes, though you may be living a healthier lifestyle by retiring earlier. It comes back to what I highlighted earlier, which is it's just a longer period of time that your savings and investments have to last, and you have to be prepared for that.
So, we all talk about living longer. I think it's a well-known fact that people, generally speaking, are living longer now than previous generations, whether that be better lifestyles, medical abilities, and so forth. People don't like to hear this, but, to a financial planner, longevity really is the biggest enemy of a successful plan, right? And so while we all strive to live a long and healthy life, that does put added strain on any financial plan and the requirement to not only save more money, but then be smart about what you do with it once it's been saved.
I'll also highlight another strain, though it's a good one, lifestyle choices. Part of episode part 1 was about pursuing different travel, hobbies, leisure activities. Those are all great. But what that also means is increased costs. All of those things take resources. So if you're young, healthy, and it's great that you're doing all of those things, what it also means is that your, retirement budget has gone up. And that's something that we need to make sure we're ahead of. One thing that can help with that is if there are additional income streams, it's possible that retirement doesn't mean that you're not working any longer. You might be just working less in a part-time situation. It might be that entrepreneurial pursuit that we discussed, freelance opportunities. It could be passive income from like rental properties. But it is important that we examine that and see if there's ways in which that can assist in supporting your goal of retiring before 65. And then lastly, there are some estate planning considerations that one should be aware of when if you decide that you're going to move out of state. Sometimes there's different considerations about how your will was drafted and different taxes that you might be exposed to. That only is more involved when retiring at an earlier age. So I addressed a lot of things that are important to consider. They are all things with enough planning and foresight that you can overcome and accomplish. We may be biased, but we think considering to seek financial advice from a professional to develop a comprehensive retirement plan tailored to your specific needs and circumstances is all the more important the earlier that you decide that you want to shoot for that independence, whether it's called retirement or not. Don't do it alone.
Well said. This is the second of a two-part series, and we mentioned it in the first part, which is it's important to note there are lots of benefits of an early retirement. However, it's not for everyone. These are just thoughts that are intended to give you things to think about, food for thought, so to speak. Early retirement can vary based on your circumstances, your preparedness, your personal preferences, the things that are most important to you. And so we think it comes with challenges and considerations. And with good planning, as you've said, it can be carried out. We thank you for listening. We hope you found that this episode, like all episodes of Millstone River Live, are helpful. We'd encourage you to share it with someone you think might benefit. And we look forward to checking in with you on the next episode. In this episode, we've shared some factors to consider when planning for your retirement. This list may not be exhaustive. We strongly recommend you carefully consider your personal and financial circumstances. In addition, we recommend you consult professionals for financial, tax, and legal considerations.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Millstone River Live. Feel free to share it with someone you think might benefit. Millstone River Wealth Management is an independent wealth management firm based in New Jersey. We form a supportive partnership with our clients and help with financial education and planning. We welcome your feedback. Send comments or questions to podcast@millstone-river.com. More information about our firm can be found online at millstone-river.com. Thanks for listening.